So thanks so much for joining us today, Dr. Woessner. First of all, I mean, very exciting to see that the Olympics this year will have gender equity in terms of the athletes performing. So same number of women and men around the world competing at the Paris Olympics. Why is this significant?
Oh, well, first, thank you so much for having me on to speak about all the topics we're going to cover. I think it's really significant for a few different reasons. One, we've come a really long way since when women weren't competing or when they were competing in very, very low numbers. So, just the point of hitting equity in terms of numbers of participants is a really good sign and just a signal around the world. And I think it also shows kind of what's possible if governments and national organizations kind of put in place those participation targets at all levels across competition.
How long has it taken roughly to get here?
Oh, it's been decades in the making, right? And I think we've come a long way for sure. And certain sports have always been a little bit better at gender parity. It has kind of differed across the way with male dominated sports and the like. But I think it's taken a long time to get here, but I don't think we're at the finish line either. So while it's absolutely a nice moment to celebrate hitting those equal numbers, there are a lot of other elements that we should be looking for as well in these games.
Now, apart from that example, like looking at some of the sports here, from cricket to all the different sports, even surfing, we are seeing women come out and they're becoming stars in their own. And like you said, men and women are getting excited about it. What do you think we've got right? When you look back at the last few decades, what did organizations, athletes, the community do right so that we are celebrating women athletes like they are being now?
One of the things I think we're doing really well is telling their stories differently, representing women athletes differently than men athletes. We're not putting them exactly forward in the same way. There can be challenges with that if we're not front ending kind of the performance element and the strength of these women athletes. But I think a lot of the fans of women athletes want to connect on a human level, and we're seeing that in all different ways across the sporting codes. We see the fans' relationship with Ash Barty is a great example, like how she's transcended multiple sporting codes, the connection people feel with Naomi Osaka. So I feel like how women athletes are being represented is absolutely been a win. We're talking about them. We're showing their full stories. We're showing women athletes as mothers and as their whole selves. We're also talking about how they're working other jobs, how they're working across codes. We're showing those elements in a really strong way. And I think that's resonating with the fan base. And it's one of the reasons people are really jumping on board.
For one of our listeners today who wants to, get in and help the movement go in the right direction, what can they do?
So I think there are a lot of different things you can do. So if you're a parent of young children, I think it's about role modeling. So finding ways to put women athletes at the forefront in your lives. I didn't really think about it at the time when I was growing up that we always watch the women college basketball game. I never thought about that. And now I think about it all the time because it was so normal for me to see women athletes. And I think that's absolutely one of the reasons why I went on to be a high performing athlete. So I think role modeling and giving those opportunities outside of the Olympics, so not every 2 years, but all the time, is really important. I think there are also opportunities to get involved at the grassroots. So thinking about the community sport club, not just dropping your kids off, if you have kids, actually going in and volunteering and asking questions about gender equity. Why is this happening and not this? What can we do on this? And there are so many volunteers that reach out to me all the time that are doing amazing work in their community sport clubs and just need some support. So I think it's about finding those opportunities where you can make just a little bit of difference. And then the last point for everyone, I think when we see issues of gender inequity, when we see something that just doesn't feel quite right, it's absolutely everyone's responsibility to say something. And that can be really hard because, if it's an unsafe environment, if you're feeling like, someone is being bullied or belittled, it can be hard to insert yourselves. You don't have to go into the middle of a confrontation. You don't have to be the one to raise every issue. But I think if we all keep standing back from addressing these issues, that's when something can just keep being perpetuated over time. So I would say anyone, anywhere in the workplace, out in the broader community, or on the sporting field, if you see something or feel something that just doesn't feel right to you, find a way that's safe for you to report it and try and help promote a change in environment because everyone's watching that too. So we all have a part to play.